everyone, welcome to Madrid, Spain for Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad. Rich Hagon, Pro Tour historian Brian David-Marshall with you to preview all the action. BDM, it's the penultimate Pro Tour of the season, but it's also only just past halfway in the season. What storylines are you looking to this weekend?
You know, I'm very interested to see how this all just continues barreling along this year as we head into the World Championship. It's going to be a lot of seats on the line, even at this event. You know, we've already filled in a couple seats with Pro Tour champions, mid-season master, but, you know, there's drafting, there's constructed, there's all sorts of regional slots that people are going to really start to, like, solidify their leads or maybe chase down their closest competitors.
All right, so why don't we take a look at the schedule and the format for this weekend. How does Friday and Saturday work?
Well, you know, it starts with, you know, several hundred players sitting down and opening up booster packs of Shadows over Innistrad and drafting. It's my favorite way to play Magic. I love watching the best players in the world draft what is looking to be an excellent draft format.
Very deep.
Very deep. I might like this draft format better than old Innistrad.
Which is widely regarded as the best draft format of all time.
Was my favorite draft format, may have been replaced. So we're going to see 3 rounds of that on Friday. Players are going to play within, you know, drafting pods of 8 players are going to draft. They're going to play 3 rounds. At the end of 3 rounds, we are going to go to the new standard format, and we're going to watch these players. We're going to see what they've brought to the table to compete in standard. And this is a pretty big rotation in standard here. We lost a lot of cards, but we get all the new tools from Shadows over Innistrad.
Right, so 5 rounds of standard then on the back half of Friday. We do it all again on Saturday. With fewer players, you have to get to 4 and 4. That's your watermark. If you get to 50%, 12 points, good job. Come back Saturday, do it all again. 3 Shadows of Innistrad draft, 5 rounds of standard. Sunday, what about that?
Well, that's where we get to our top 8. So the top 8 players, the best 8 records. If players are tied on record, then we use tiebreakers, which we won't get into here, but top 8 players come back, they play on Saturday. They're going to play best out of 5 with their standard deck, the same standard deck that they played with during the Swiss. Little bit of a wrinkle on that this time. We're going to see them play with the same exact main deck for the first 2 games out of every best of 5 match. So they don't get to sideboard for game 2. Games 3, 4, and 5, go crazy. Go crazy with your sideboard.
So we have a total of 19 rounds to bring you over 3 days with 2 formats. But with the new cards from Shadows over Innistrad, both those formats are going to look radically different. Here are some cards from Shadows over Innistrad we think you should be watching out for this weekend. So why don't we start, BDM, on the video wall. We've got Avacyn, we've got Thing in the Ice, and we've got Dustwatch Recruiter.
All 3 of these cards have already made an impact in Standard. You know, there have been 3 major paper events that have taken place over the last 2 weeks, and there have been several, you know, lots of Magic Online activity that's going on. So we start to see these cards. Archangel Avacyn, of course, you know, a very strong top end to the human decks that did very well in the first Star City Open. Thing in the Ice, this was the, if you'll pardon the pun, it's not intended, breakout deck from the Star City event with Todd Anderson playing the red-blue spells deck. Yeah, that you know, broke the Thing in the Ice out. And then, of course, Dustwatch Recruiter's been a card that has maybe found a home in Bant Company.
All right, now our next pair of cards, you could argue that actually Westvale Abbey is a declaration in stone.
Yeah, both of these cards also have, you know, already made their impact known in Standard. Westvale Abbey, a card that just gives you so much reach in a game. Really reminds me of, you know, we talk about old Innistrad, but this reminds me of some of the cards from like from Ravnica, from original Ravnica, where you're just grinding out the game. And this is a card that lets you win in Declaration of Stone. Normally our best removal spells are in black or in red. In this case, it's in white here. So.
All right, so let's move on to our next pair of cards. I'm going to offer you a very simple 1-drop, Rush of Adrenaline, and then a not so straightforward card, Rise from the Tides.
Well, both spells, but both looking to be in very different decks in Limited, which is why they're up here.
Okay.
You know, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to finding out. Is this an aggressive draft format like we saw when Fabrizio Anteri just last weekend in Barcelona won the Grand Prix with a deck that was showing off the power of Rush of Adrenaline? You know, just very low curve, very low to the ground, and just constantly trading against your opponents. your opponent's creatures for your cheap combat tricks? Or is this a slower format where maybe you're playing 5 or 6 creatures total across your whole deck, and all of your board presence is generated by churning through your deck with spells, filling your graveyards with instants and sorceries, and then rising from the tides and making an army of zombies?
Now, not everyone at home is going to know that this guy is the world's biggest fan of a spider spawning deck. So my question for you, BDM, this time around, are there cards that we can build around and look to go deep on and do crazy stuff with?
There are so many cards that I still haven't even had a chance to play with, and I've drafted a lot. There is so many things to do. One of the things that I've had the most fun with just this weekend is Geist Blast. I hadn't played with a lot of red-blue decks. I got to play with Geist Blast this weekend. I pitched Malevolent Whispers to Lightning Axe to kill a 4/4. I then paid the madness cost, copied Geist Blast, used it from the graveyard to copy the Malevolent Whispers, took another creature, and then attacked for like 18 damage and won out of nowhere.
Awesome.
Geist Blast is just a card that's super, super fun. Really gives you like a lot of interesting puzzles to solve in every game. Ongoing investigation, perhaps fitting since we're really talking about finding out more about this limited format, but just exactly the type of card I love playing, and I've had a lot of fun with this and Fleeting Memories.
Well, as part of our ongoing investigation, we've shown you some cards that might be good, and certainly can be if you can make them work. Now here's a pair of cards that are good. They just are. We closed the book on this one. It's solved. Sorin Grim Nemesis, Arlen Cord, they are good.
Well, I mean, Sorin is a card we've seen Black-White do very well on Magic Online, actually, over the past week. Sorin is a card that is, easily has a home in it, a home in that deck. Arlen Cord is more here as a question mark, actually. What is the home for Arlen Cord? Does this find a home in the green-red ramp decks? It's 4 mana. It's, curious to see this weekend where the Planeswalker shows up.
All right, so that's just some of the cards from Shadows over Innistrad to give you a sense of some of the cards you're going to see in action. Now, of course, those Planeswalkers you see there behind me, they're mythic rares, so chances are I won't see many of those in draft action. Will they make the leap to constructed? We'll find out in the afternoons on Friday and Saturday. But players, whether it's limited or constructed, they play all day long. So let's introduce you to some of the big names who you're going to see in the feature match area and here at the news desk. JC Tao.
King of the Hill. He won our last Pro Tour. In fact, he's coming off of a Grand Prix top 8.
That's right, last weekend.
Just last weekend in Albuquerque. JC Tao, Team East West Bowl, one of the players that helped put that team on the map at the last Pro Tour. Can they follow up? We're going to see him in action starting with round 1. He'll be in the feature match area as the reigning King of the Hill. Can he maintain his crown all the way through? We'll see, but we're certainly going to get to see how he defends the title here at Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad.
Okay, well, he's a winner. Let's go to 2 leaders next. Leader in Player of the Year race is Owen Turtenwald. Leader in Rookie of the Year race is Ricky Chin.
Yeah, Ricky Chin started the season out with a Pro Tour top 8 in his first career Pro Tour.
At Battle for Zendikar.
Which gives him, leaves him with a pretty healthy lead in the Rookie of the Year race. There's a handful of players who are here this weekend who could chase him down. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as we head into the last Pro Tour after this. But Owen Turtenwald is such a story. He's already locked up multiple invites to the World Championship if we could give him them. He was the midseason master. He is running away with Player of the Year. And is just easily the best player in the game right now by all accounts.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's just, you don't like to speak in absolutes when you talk about like all these great Magic players, but I mean, I think it's pretty simple.
We're close to a coronation this weekend.
Yeah.
If he does 11-5, 12-4, which is roughly his starting point range, Player of the Year, he's words fail us.
He has as many points. He's within 3 points of the total that Mike Sigrist had after 4 Pro Tours last year to win Player of the Year. So Mike Sigrist had 73 points at the end of last season, or 70 odd points. He's within 3.
All right, let's go to more leaders on the board behind us. This next pair, well, what an astonishing story Fabrizio Anteri is turning into. 10 Grand Prix top 8s, 5 5 Grand Prix titles, including last weekend at Grand Prix Barcelona, where I know so many of you were following all the way through as he told you about his sealed fundamentals, his approach to the game, his goals in the game. Great insight, and we really do thank Fabrizio for being part of that.
Huge weekend for him. Not only did he win, he locked up platinum as before this event, and it catapulted him into the lead in the Grand Prix Master Race,
which is a real bun fight.
Yeah. There's a lot of players. There's a lot of players, really clustered up there, but it propelled him into the lead, and he's fighting again. Another player fighting for multiple berths. In contention for multiple berths at the World Championship.
Now over here, sometimes players get the wrong title. So if Sam was in the lead for most gregarious, you'd think that doesn't sound right. But Sam's in the lead for constructed master, and that sounds entirely correct. He's just a great deck builder.
Yeah, absolutely. After the first Pro Tour, it was Autumn Burchett, who came out of the first Pro Tour 9-1. Sam was right behind her. He was one match off the lead. He put up a very similar finish at this next Pro Tour, and has just the best constructed record in the game over the first 2 Pro Tours of the year. He's working with Team Ultra Pro. They picked up the core members of Channel Fireball for this event.
Right.
Very excited to see what all those great minds working together on this standard format have come up with.
Okay, so Sam is leading the constructed master. How are things in the limited master, where we have only had 4 drafts, 12 rounds? I guess it's a little tighter.
It is much tighter, and I think if we figure out how to draft this format, it's going to be one of these 5 players who shows us how to do it. All of these players have 10 wins in draft across 2 Pro Tours, 2 losses. Thiago Saporito, Sam Thamaratnam, Pierre Dajon, Mike Sigris, the reigning player of the year, mind you, and Matej Zadelkai. Matej and Pierre, teammates on Team Eureka, and they feel pretty confident about drafting in general. They think they have one of the better limited teams. I talked to Brad Nelson, one of the new members of that team, and he said, wow, these guys really know how to play limited. So I'm curious to see how those guys follow up. Matej coming off a 6-0 at his last Pro Tour.
Right, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Sam Thamaratnam because he is someone who basically just consistently is in day 2 of Pro Tours. He's in top 64, top 50, top 32, top 16, but never played for a top 8 yet. Maybe this is the weekend he transforms his pro career of great solidity into big stage.
Look at the names and the resumes that are surrounding him here in this race for Limited Master.
And he deserves to be there. He really does. So, we've given you some cards, we've given you some players. But the truth is, there's hundreds of cards, there's hundreds of players, and we don't know who's going to win. That's why we play the games, and we can't wait to play them in your company over the next 3 days. Shadows over Innistrad draft. New standard. Can't wait. For Brian David-Marshall, we'll see you at Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad.